Welcome back to Beauty Marks Podcast, a space where we embrace our marks acquired through our journey. My name is Elizabeth Savillon, and welcome to the first video episode of this podcast. So I know a lot of you guys listen in audio, so you're probably listening to me on your way to work, in the car, on a walk. But today, if you want to see the live episode of this, I finally invested in a video production for this, and I partnered with Hi Hello Labs in Orlando, in downtown Orlando, so you might hear a few things. And I'm just really excited for this chapter, for this new chapter of Beauty Marks Podcast, to be able to have the video option available to you guys and just being able to see everything, all the facial expressions that we do, because I make a lot of facial expressions. And so I'm really excited about this. You know, I'm going to share the reality of what happens when you start something new. You know, you're getting out of your comfort zone, but you also get some nerves. And my body decided to start twitching out. And so literally this week, I started feeling like my eye twitch. So if you see that in video, don't mind me, just keep on watching or keep on listening, because that's just what happens when you have something exciting. Your body, you know, things start happening. And I was just really self-conscious about it. And then I'm like, you know what? We're going to do this regardless. And I'm just really excited for today. Content batching and just excited for all of that's to come. So for today's topic, I wanted to talk about this directly to all my single ladies. We are starting a February relationship series, and I wanted to do an episode for you. If you are a single gal, I wanted to share this as like from one single gal to another. And when I actually was talking to my therapist about getting back out there and the fear of doing so, you guys know that I was in a long-term relationship, and when that ended, I went into a whole self-love journey that I have been enjoying and cruising through. But then I feel like I've gotten very comfortable now being in a safe place. And I feel like I've, done salsa. I've done all these things outside of my comfort zone, went on my first solo trip, and been really getting myself out there with friendships and just cultivating deeper connections. But when it comes to the relationship aspect, I feel like I've completely been avoiding all things when it comes to that because of my experiences. And that is very normal. And I just want to remind you that that is very normal, because I literally went into my therapist office and I was like, okay, is it just me, or am I just like terrified of getting traumatized again, that I feel like I don't even want to interact in that way with a guy? And she's like, no, that is very normal, but I want to challenge you to do that this year and be more intentional in that space. So you guys know that I have had dating coaches on here, relationship coaches, and for the month of February, I'm actually doing the challenge for myself to get on the dating apps, which is all brand new and scary. And so we can do it together. So for all my single girls, I just want to challenge you for that next step. Eventually you get to a place where you're just at peace and drama free, and you go to sleep at 10 p.m. and you're at peace. And that's a really good place to be. But I know a lot of us do desire to have a relationship. And unfortunately, most of us cannot get him Amazon Prime to our house or have anything just brought to us. We actually have to put ourselves out there. And so this month, in doing so, there's some nerves that come up because it's new, you haven't done it, maybe your past experience wasn't that good. And so now that's where I'm at. And so when I spoke to my therapist about it, she's like, you have to give yourself some space to understand that you're not that person that you were before. So the person that was in toxic relationships 2-3 years ago, she didn't know what she knows today. And so now it's time to take all the tools that you've learned and actually bring them forth and be kind of tested in that area. We get into like this protective state that until you actually see how you handle certain situations, you won't really know. You know, a lot of us know a lot of theories. We're like, yeah, I know how I would handle that, until you're actually exposed to it. And so that is something that I'm challenging myself to do. And it is some fear, and also some like fear of rejection. There's a lot of things that creep up when we are going to put ourselves out there. Coming from a long-term relationship, you kind of find the comfort, you find just the routine in that. And then when you go to being single and you finally get to a place where you're like, I like this. This is fun. This is cool. Like I'm actually okay with being by myself. You can actually get pretty stuck there. And I've actually met people like in their 40s that they're like, Liz, I was you when I was in my 20s, and I would reject people all the time because I'm like, no, I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody. And I put my focus in other things. And not to say that everybody's timing isn't that or it's different, but if that's something that you desire to be in a relationship, you also have to challenge yourself to put yourself out there. And that starts with, aside from the apps, it's being open. And now going into dating and being open-minded is so important. You're not going there and trying to meet your husband and saying, if this guy isn't it, I'm done. No, you're going in, giving them a chance. Like if you're on vacation, when you're on vacation with your girls, you go, you're having the best time of your life. You're just like relaxed. You're like, I don't know these people. I can be myself. I'll never see them again. That's exactly how a date is. And even though I know a lot of this stuff in theory, I've seen how like myself in meeting people casually, I'm not in my head until it gets to like an official date, and then you're right in front of them and you're like, okay, like my resume, you pull out your resume, like I'm all these things, and it's like if you're in a work interview, when it's like, no, you can be a little bit more relaxed and just understand that you're just making connections. This could be someone that you have as a friend in the future. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner, but changing that mindset, I feel like is key, because we are trained to be in this always like soulmate searching, and I feel like if you've already worked through some things, you get to the place where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable by myself. I know that I know what I bring to the table, and now I'm trying to just have fun, connect with people, and also be more understanding that not every connection is going to equal my future mate. But those are things that I'm working on. And I'm going to be honest, it sometimes is reminders for yourself. But now it's your time to use the toolkits that you have to actually practice that. And my therapist was like, Liz, you need to give yourself the time and the space to see how you react in time. Like you won't know until you're exposed to it. And so when it comes to places that you can do these things. So the apps is a first place to start. Download an app, challenging you to do so, and also going to different things. So let's say there's a class that you want to join, or a book club, or some activity that is co-ed, putting yourself out there to go to those things by yourself and looking people in the eye, smiling, being more like welcoming, because when we're on our phone or we're in a group of girls, it is very alarming to guys, and they usually probably won't go up to you until you're like alone somewhere. So making sure to put yourself in those positions to be approached and look approachable is also very important, and also not be so guarded or defensive, or kind of ask a lot of the intentions of like, why are you complimenting me? Why are you trying to treat me? It's like when you go to these places or these dates, they're also getting to know you. And so this is a time where you look at, like, start feeling like, how do I feel right now? Like, do I feel comfortable? They are paying attention to me. Those little things. Do I feel safe being there in that interaction? And if it's not, then you put the boundary there. Like, you still have control over that. It's not that once you start dating, you lose all control, and you can always stop dating if you don't want to do it anymore. So those are things and reminders for myself, and I'm being so honest and open with you ladies, that it is hard to do, but challenging yourselves to do it and taking the first step and initiative to do so is so important. The other part that I'm going to be doing this month is kind of writing out and journaling how I feel when I go, and like what things I'm learning about myself. Because ultimately, when you have come from maybe not healthy relationships, or you're not used to meeting people in that interaction, you focus so much on what they think about you. You're like, did they think I'm pretty? Did they text me back? Did they like my photos? Do they like want to reach out to me again or hang out with me? Instead of taking the time to actually think like, how did I feel in that interaction? Like, was I in a headspace where I was open, where I was myself, where I was able to be like less guarded? And that, I feel like, is what matters, because especially for myself, I have been in those kind of relationships where it's like I was always attentive to them, that ended up changing myself. So it's like, it's not trying to date to find someone that you fit into their life. It's like both people meeting in the middle. And So those are just some things that I recommend you doing and that I challenge you to do and encourage you to do. It is scary. You're going to freak out. And coming from experience already, it is something that you just have to like pause and get out of your head and get with those friendships that you have or your family members to be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I need some encouragement. I need you to be my hype woman. I need you to maybe share my location with you so that you know where I'm at, because safety first. And then another part of that is being able for them to follow up with you and that you're able to have those conversations. My friends are like so excited about it and they're like, okay, we're going to meet on Saturday. We're going to go through all the matches and everything. So you can make it a fun thing instead of taking it so seriously. Because I feel like dating, especially after you hear all these horror stories and that people hate dating in 2023, it can discourage you. And so this is a more encouraging message and I will be letting you guys know throughout the next few months, kind of like a recap of my experiences. And this is, again, not to say that I'm going to find my soulmate. It's just to challenge myself to get out of my comfort zone. So I appreciate you guys listening. And if you are watching this, I am excited to have you guys here to see the studio and to see the different episodes every single week. Make sure to follow me at Elizabeth Sabby and subscribe to this podcast and leave a review if you haven't. It takes a few seconds and it just helps us get our ratings and our exposure for the podcast. So thank you so much, and I will see you guys next week.